Buffalo Bills have won the toss. They have deferred, so Tennessee will receive as you look at Titans quarterback Matt Hasselbeck once again starting for the injured Jake Locker.
And Marv, this guy's been steady. I mean, you go back to even last year, starts all 16 games for the first time since 2007. I thought he provided much needed veteran leadership in the locker room, and he did it with the league's worst running game and without his number 1 wide receiver, Kenny Britt. He's got Kenny Britt here today. They need to get number 18 going.
Back deep for Tennessee, 4-year man from West Virginia, Darius Raynaud, averaging 27 yards a return, including a 105-yard touchdown. And it will be Ryan Lindell kicking off instead of their kickoff specialist, John Potter, inactive today. His kickoffs were not going as deep as the Bills had anticipated. This is a short kick. Here comes Raynaud out across the 20-yard line, just shy of the 25. So here are the Titans offensively. They have 7-time Pro Bowler Steve Hutchinson at left guard, signed as a free agent from Minnesota. The backs and receivers, well, Bill's particularly concerned about the 6'5" tight end Jared Cook, who leads Tennessee in receptions. And Chris Johnson, with that solid game last week against Pittsburgh, gets the call. Now Buffalo, similar to Tennessee, has had its problems defensively. Up front, Mario Williams, the most prized free agent on the market, but fans here in Buffalo looking for more from Mario. The linebackers, Nigel Bradham, the rookie out of Florida State, has moved into the starting lineup. And in the secondary, free safety Jarris Byrd with 2 picks last week. He's been named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. 2 tight ends for the Titans for the second down and 9. Johnson, the lone setback. Hasselbeck to throw and completes for the first down. Out of the 40-yard line, Kenny Britt refusing to go down. And Kenny Britt, last week, kind of a shaky game. He did make the touchdown grab, but it was off a bobble, and there were a couple of drops.
Yeah, I think here's a guy who missed quite a bit of time in the last year and a half, and he's still trying to get his legs back under him and find his role in this offense.
Empty backfield. Johnson is flanked to the far side. The pass comes the other way for Britt. Runs it out of bounds, just shy of the marker. Picked up 9 on the play.
Yeah, I feel like they've limited what he's doing right now, Kenny Britt. A lot of slants and hitches and fades, and as he told us earlier in the week, it feels like everything is moving so fast, so they're just trying to make sure that he's comfortable in this offense.
No huddle again for the Titans. Hasselbeck with protection is able to complete for the first down and more. The tight end Craig Stevens making his 13th catch of the season, and that's good for 17.
Well, they love to utilize these tight ends in the offense. They've got 3 of them. They all get plenty of work, and Matt Hasselbeck has always liked to throw the ball in the middle of the field to the tight ends.
And once again, no huddle. Titans have not scored an opening drive touchdown. 13 games for that streak. Another completion, but a flag comes in. The catch is made inside the 25-yard line. A 9-yard pickup. Again, it's Stevens.
You can already see that the Tennessee Titans trying to utilize those tight ends versus the linebackers of Buffalo. I mean, that's a mismatch, and that's one they're exploiting already here in the first quarter.
Referee is Mike Carey in his 23rd year in the NFL out of San Diego.
Illegal contact, defense number 55, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
It is on the middle linebacker, Kelvin Shepard.
One thing you don't want to have happen if you're Dave Wantz, that defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, is you don't want Matt Hasselbeck to get in a rhythm early. You don't want to get him rolling, feeling good, because right now he's just striking it. And you always talk about getting him out of rhythm, getting some hits on him early, and they're not able to get any pressure right now on Matt Hasselbeck.
Richard, would you say we're looking at the Matt Hasselbeck who had success with the Titans last year with Mike Munchak kind of spreading it out, letting him throw frequently as Chris Johnson now gets the call? And I would think part of the reason for that was that Johnson was struggling for a good part of last year after that holdout.
Yeah, the key to this whole thing is get Chris Johnson going, and he's going to have to be able to start making some defenders miss in the hole. Those safeties that come down, and he's got to be able to make one miss. They can't block them all. And just as we talked about in the open, Marv, you just don't see the big runs from Chris Johnson. His longest run this season, just 19 yards.
Johnson to the sideline, 3 wideouts. They swing it. Raynaud gets inside the 20-yard line, right to the marker. Looked like 9 yards. No, he picked up the first down. Got the spot.
And this is making things very difficult. There's no huddle for Buffalo to make their substitutions. Difficult for Dave Wanstead to dial up any pressures.
Good drive here by the Titans. Here's Hasselbeck on the run, able to complete. Brick spun around, a short pickup. So they stay with the no huddle. There's Sean Merriman, who was signed by the Bills just this past week with the Bills last season, and he is now playing up front rather than the linebacker position. Tennessee now goes with a combination of Chris Johnson and the fullback Quinn Johnson for the 2nd down and 8. Hasselbeck is 5 for 5, 52 yards on this opening drive. Chris Johnson to the outside, and he dives in for the touchdown. And that has to feel very good. Earlier we mentioned the success that Chris Johnson had here in Buffalo, week 13 of last season. A 16-yard run for the score.
And this is one of the things that I think can really help Chris Johnson, having the fullback in front of him, Quinn Johnson. You remember the early success he had going back to his first 3 years in the league with Ahmad Hall in front of him. Look how you see Johnson blow up the linebacker. Now CJ's able to get on the perimeter. And I think when a guy's having problems, some vision problems, when he sees color flash and he wants to bounce everything to the edge, having the fullback in there can be a calming influence on the running back.
Chris Johnson had gone 10 games without a touchdown. That is his first TD of the season.
This is an offense, Tennessee, that has not shown they can start.
Let's see if they're going to review this.
Really great effort.
Off the dive, was he inbounds? They'll take a look at it. We'll step away. Back to Buffalo in a moment.
Yeah, back here in Buffalo, you just got to look at Chris Johnson in the middle of your screen. To me, it looks like both feet are in bounds when he begins to leap and extend the ball over the goal line. This is going to be a touchdown for the Titans.
Made contact with the pylon, as they used to refer to it, as around the world. You get the call off the space around that pylon.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It's a touchdown. All that needs to happen is the ball needs to be inside the pylon for a score.
I don't think there was any question.
I thought he clearly extended the ball, and then he gets pushed at the end by George Wilson, but that's just great effort by Chris Johnson. He scraped his arm in the process. A little boo-boo. But that's important, I think, to get this guy going early. Get him some confidence. Get the offensive line feeling good about Chris Johnson having a big day here in Western New York.
Rob Baronis with the extra point. And for Tennessee, their first opening drive touchdown in 14 games. 8 plays for 77 yards. Buffalo in possession when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. State Farm. Get to a better state with a discount double check. And by Verizon. Now more than ever, Droid does.
Titans jump in front to the 7-0 lead. So Rob Baronis gets set to kick it away to the combination of Leotis McKelvin and Brad Smith. McKelvin averaging 30 yards per return. 5-year man out of Troy. And this is McKelvin to the 20, 25 as he broke a tackle, breaks another, and reaches out across the 30-yard line. Nice return. Taylor Thompson finally able to get him down. Picked up 29, but a penalty marker is thrown.
After the ball was dead, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 92 of the receiving team. 15-yard penalty, which is half the distance to the goal. First down.
I think he said 92, which would be Alex Carrington on the personal foul. So Ryan Fitzpatrick takes the field, and we talked about his inconsistency right at the start of the telecast.
Yeah, Marv, but the one thing he does a great job of is he makes quick decisions and he gets the ball out fast. But as you said, he just has to eliminate the inconsistent performances. That's really the only thing that's holding him back.
Fred Jackson in the backfield as they go 3 wideouts on this very first play. They start out from just outside the 16, out of the gun. Facing pressure, goes to the screen. Jackson finding some running room. Now look at Buffalo up front. We saw that Jackson pick up a 9 yards on the screen. Chris Hairston once again starting for the injured Cordy Glenn. Backs and receivers, Stevie Johnson the main target. And Ryan Fitzpatrick says he has to do a better job in getting him the football. Fitzpatrick says it's his fault that Johnson's numbers are not better. Once again, it's Jackson. And he breaks tackles, getting across the 35. Pickup of 12 and a first down. The Titans defensively, and they have certainly been struggling out of the 4-3. The former Raider Cameron Windley at right defensive end, moving from his customary linebacker spot. Linebacker Zach Dials is starting for the injured Colin McCarthy. A big loss for the Titans in the secondary. In the left corner, Jason McCourty last week came up with an interception of Ben Roethlisberger in the win over the Steelers. Off the pump, Fitzpatrick throws it away.
Nice job there by Ayers. I mean, he's not fooled at all. He sees the movement away, and yet he does a nice job coming upfield, knowing that he's got help back inside for Scott Chandler, and Ryan Fitzpatrick does the next best thing, just throw it away and avoid the sack.
Buffalo 2nd and 10 at the 38-yard line. Last week, the Bills ending the losing streak at 2 with that overtime win at Arizona on the 25-yard field goal by Ryan Lindell. Fitzpatrick going sideline, and the catch made a beauty by Stevie Johnson. 12-yard advance and a first down.
Well, this is a terrific throw by Ryan Fitzpatrick, but an even better catch by Stevie Johnson. This isn't an easy catch. It's away from him. Does a good job getting 2 hands on it and pulling this thing in, and then having the wherewithal to get the other foot in bounds. And this is important. Stevie Johnson's struggling a little bit right now. I think he's a little bummed out that he's not getting more touches early. I think it's important to get this guy going early in this game.
First down at midfield.
Orange flag 6.
Once again, it's Jackson. Once again, he breaks tackles. Picked up 9. We were talking with Tennessee head coach Mike Munchak last night about the problems that the Titans have had defensively, and he brought up the fact that he says, what's going on these days? Guys don't tackle properly.
And that's a big problem. That's what's held them back a little bit. They have not tackled well as a group. Talking about the defensive line, linebackers, secondary, and you can't give these 2 backs, Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller, who are both very good in the open field, a lot of space.
I think Jordan Babineau had a crack at it and see the movement and the flag. Looked to be Derek Morgan, the defensive end.
Infraction. Defense, number 91. 5-yard penalty. Results on first down.
It is the 3-year man out of Georgia Tech, Morgan, and called on the penalty.
And historically, this has been a group, this defensive line for the Texans, or the Titans, I'm sorry, they do a great job getting off on the snap. And so if you're Ryan Fitzpatrick, you're going to have to change up the snap count to slow down these tackles and ends.
First down at the Tennessee 36. Bills go with a combination of Jackson and Spiller. C.J. Spiller. He comes in averaging 7.6 per carry. Another flag is down. Spiller taking over for the injured Fred Jackson when Jackson sat out a couple of games, has emerged as the Bills' leading rusher. Spiller started 11 games last year with Fred Jackson going down with that broken right leg.
After the ball was dead, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, getting the player out of the play. 15-yard player, number 79. Bills second down, the down will count.
It's the right tackle, Eric Piers of Buffalo, called for the personal foul.
There's a fine line between getting downfield and trying to make a play. You see Piers, he's just going to go block McCourty, and you just can't do that. I mean, the officials are right there. And the other thing, if you're Jason McCourty, you've got to have your head on a swivel. You can't stand around piles with big linemen like Eric Piers.
Sets it back to a 2nd and 17 at the 43. Stevie Johnson is flanked wide to the left. Fitzpatrick with running room. Slides inside the 30, covered up by Akeem Ayers. A 14-yard run by Fitzpatrick.
And this is good to see if you're a Bills fan. I mean, this is something that Ryan Fitzpatrick is certainly capable of doing, but we haven't seen a lot from the first 6 weeks of the season. And I think it's always important for quarterbacks to make a few plays with their legs.
Third and 3, and now Spiller is the lone running back as he peels off and ends up in the slot. Fitzpatrick getting protection, completes for the first down. Stevie Johnson on a 5-yard pass play.
Well, Chan Gailey, they love when they get in 3rd and short situations. As the play caller, they love to get into these open sets and get 5 out, empty backfield, and they trust that Ryan Fitzpatrick, first of all, is going to get the ball out and not hold it, but he also does a great job handling the protection, directing traffic up front, making sure that there's 5 on 5, and so he's got a chance to set his feet.
Once again, 3 receivers. Johnson on the right side. He goes the other way. Spiller putting some moves on, trying to stiff arm, but nothing there as Ryan Mouton, the 4-year man from Hawaii, was able to make the stop, and it's a loss of 2.
Keep an eye on Zach Dials, a linebacker. He's trying to tackle C.J. Spiller. You got to get extra tape on your ankles when you play against a guy like C.J. Spiller. I mean, you can hurt yourself. I think he twisted an ankle.
So while they check out Zach Dials, who is the middle linebacker playing for the injured Colin McCarthy, we'll step away. When we come back, it's a 2nd down and 12 for the Bills. 5:18 left in the first, and the Titans have a 7-0 lead. Officially Orchard Park, New York. Marv Albert, Rich Gannon, 7-0 lead for Tennessee, getting right to it off that impressive drive engineered by Matt Hasselbeck, and now the Bills are on the move. And they're checking out Zach Dials, making his first start since last January when he was a member of the Houston Texans. Dials playing for Colin McCarthy.
Just look at that left ankle. It gets twisted back, and That's what a guy like C.J. Spiller will do for you. Now you're going to be thin at linebackers. You mentioned Colin McCarthy already out. Zach Dials out. Now the Bills come out in Wildcat.
Yeah, Brad Smith, and he's going to run. Just a 2-yard advance. I was watching Brad Smith in the pregame warm-ups. So he's throwing the football. He's running the football. He's going out for passes. And he's also returning kicks.
He can do it all. And, we saw him 4 snaps of it last week against Arizona. He actually threw it one time. And as Ryan Fitzpatrick has reminded me, he's thrown it twice, and both have resulted in interceptions. So I don't think we're going to see Brad Smith throw it here today.
3rd down and 10 at the Tennessee 24. Fitzpatrick ducks it off. Spiller finding running room. Spiller gets inside the 5. It'll be a 1st and goal for Buffalo. 20-yard play.
Well, a really nice job. It's a little kind of a middle screen. You're going to see Spiller. He just winds in right behind the offensive lineman, and they've got players that can get out in front of it. Guys like Andy Levitri and Eric Wood. It's a well-designed play by Chan Gailey.
Michael Griffin, the free safety, able to make the stop. 12th play of the drive. They started at the 17. Fred Jackson is in the backfield. The handoff to Jackson, trying to pick his way. And he's met by Mouton. Picked up a yard. Fred Jackson has one of the stronger stiff arms, although that time was not able to do much against Mouton.
And I think he's finally healthy now. He had the leg injury last year. We saw him in week 1 where he went out with a knee injury, but you just get the sense from watching the tape last week that he's feeling better, and you're seeing him being more and more involved in this offense. But they are going through a little bit of a transition in terms of how they utilize both Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller.
And both Jackson and Spiller in the backfield. They'll go with the split alignment. Fitzpatrick looking. Fitzpatrick to Jackson. Touchdown, Buffalo.
It's amazing. You go back to the little middle screen they ran with C.J. Spiller. This is just a very good design by the Buffalo Bills, coming back with a very similar concept, but just switching it up now with Fred Jackson and running it the other way. You're going to see both linemen again, Wood and Levitri, out in front.
Now the try for the point after. Ryan Lindell, and a flag is thrown.
Call start, offense, number 91. 5-yard penalty, retry from the 7-yard line.
It's called on Spencer Johnson. So they'll move it back, and Lindell will have to give it another go. You saw those numbers on the Bills' opening drive. Fitzpatrick 6 for 7, 48 yards. Ryan Lindell in his 13th season out of Washington State puts it through, and the game is tied at 7. Fitzpatrick able to flip it to Jackson for his 13th touchdown pass of the season.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by KFC. Come in today and taste why fresh is better.
Been a beautiful day here in Buffalo. Titans and the Bills tied at 7. 13 plays, 83 yards, and 7:37. Darius Raynaud is back deep for the Titans. Out to the 10. And excellent coverage here by the Bills. That ball may have come loose. Apparently, Raynaud able to hang on. 16-yard return. Fred Jackson with that touchdown catch and enjoying the moment, and then sharing his happiness with fans here in Buffalo. The Titans will start out from their 17-yard line. Chris Johnson is the feature back. Johnson finds the hole. He can explode, and he does. Down to the 30, 20, 10. Touchdown, Titans. Well, Rich, coming in, as we talked about at the start, it's a matchup of two of the weakest defensive teams in the NFL. We're looking at 31 and 32 ranked overall. Both teams score on their first drive. Tennessee now scores on its second drive.
Yeah, and if Chris Johnson's ever going to break out, this may be the week. You think about the Buffalo Bills right now. They're giving up 32 points a game. The run defense has been awful. 175 yards a game on the ground. Backs are averaging 6 yards a carry. Just a terrific run by Chris Johnson.
Beautiful block from Quinn Johnson to get Chris Johnson going, and here is Baronis for the extra point. 2:43 to go in this opening quarter. How about Chris Johnson with that long run, getting right to it. 2 touchdowns, 103 yards. Thursday on CBS. CY Elementary is TV's #1 news show. That's Thursday only. CBS. This crowd was quieted after that 83-yard run. An explosion from Chris Johnson.
Yeah, it's amazing to think he came into today's game with 198 touches without a touchdown. You go all the way back to week 13 of last season, and this guy just is off to a terrific start here today in Buffalo.
Rob Baronis getting set to kick it away to the combination of Leotis McKelvin and Brad Smith. Smith taking it in front of McKelvin. Smith puts the speed on. Breaks tackles, gets by the kick of Baronis, and he is flying down to the 20, down to the 10. Touchdown, Buffalo. '89 yards for Brad Smith. If you're playing fantasy football, this is the game you want to watch.
You know, you just get the sense as you watch it, you're just waiting. It seems like the players are waiting for somebody else to make a play. Nobody's tackling. On defense, on special teams, you see Smith, he just jumps up and gets it. And he's got a big gaping hole. The kicker can't make the play, and you're not going to catch Brad Smith once he gets into the open field.
So an 83-yard run by Chris Johnson, followed by the 89-yard kickoff return by Brad Smith. Ryan Lindell puts it through. Tennessee and Buffalo tied at 14, and we still have 2 minutes and 31 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, just take a look at this graphic. I mean, it's amazing. Both teams struggling right now. Get up too many points. And a lot of it is the explosive plays, whether it's the running game, passing game, or even in the return game on special teams.
It's like a video game we're watching here. 3 touchdowns in 25 seconds. That's unbelievable.
And I just got the sense as we look at the tape during the week, Marv, it's going to be that type of a game. Bills right now defensively, they're struggling. They're 32nd. In run defense, 31st in total defense. Look at the Tennessee Titans. They're not a whole lot better. They're 28th in total defense. Both defensive coordinators, when we sat down with Jerry Gray last night, when we talked to Dave Wannstedt on Friday, both talked about the importance of tackling in this game with backs like Chris Johnson, C.J. Spiller, and Fred Jackson.
Aside from 3 touchdowns within 25 seconds, how about 2 within the last 12 seconds?
Yeah, you can just see the concern on Dave Wannstedt's face. I mean, somebody's got to start making some plays defensively. And
you think?
they might want to change the scheme here a little bit here as we get ready to start the second quarter.
No return for Darius Raynaud. Well, you can get live score updates for all of your favorite teams with the new CBS Sportcaster app. Available on select devices. Visit cbssports.com/mobile or text SCORE to 42777 to get the free app.
We might run out of oxygen here. I don't know if they've got enough.
You talk about the broadcast booth or the field?
The players.
So here are the Titans back to the offense, and Jamie Harper getting the call, picked up 7. It has been action-packed here in Buffalo. Set for an update. Let's go to JB and Bill Cowher.
A lot of skepticism about Terrell Suggs and his play.
Yeah, they said we were having an impact. We had an impact right here. He gets a sack right here on Houston. Now, Houston did come back in a shot to Kevin Weller's score to make it 9-3. But Suggs has definitely had an impact in this game, JB.
That's amazing. Back to Marv and Rich.
All right, guys, second down and 3. The ball is at the 27-yard line. Reynard hit back behind the line by the defensive tackle Kyle Williams. A loss of 4 on that play.
I think Tennessee wants to run behind the left side of their offensive line. I think there's a couple of reasons. They've got some good players over there, but you look at Buffalo right now, they've got Chris Kelsey at the defensive end position. He's an undersized guy at 260 pounds. Behind him, they've got a rookie in Nigel Bradham. And last week, Arizona ran the ball well on the left side. The other thing they want to do is they want to get in 3 and 4 wide receiver sets and get a good favorable box count and run the ball against this front.
Titans stay with Reynard in the backfield. Hasselbeck throwing. The catch is made across the 30. We'll see where they mark the forward progress on the tight end, Jared Cook. It is a first down. Picked up 7. Brian Scott on the tackle. Set for another update. JB and Coach Cowher.
A familiar hookup for the Packers.
Yeah, JB, how about last Sunday night? 3 times Jordy Nelson from Aaron Rodgers again today. 3 yards out. And Green Bay Packers 10-3 in the second.
Marv and Rich.
About 30 seconds remaining here in this wild first quarter. That pass intended for Britt, not able to hold on. He took a pretty good pop from the right corner, Stephon Gilmore.
Well, this is a good matchup to watch. Kenny Britt, we talked about just coming off of the injuries, but he tries to push Gilmore. Gilmore has really played well since week 1. He was their first-round pick. I think he's playing with a lot more confidence right now. Much more aggressive than when we saw him against the Jets.
Rookie out of South Carolina, Stephon Gilmore. First incompletion thrown by Matt Hasselbeck. Out of the toss, Johnson went to the edge, not able to make the turn. Met by Nick Barnett, Harrisburg. And that should do it for this first quarter, with Buffalo and Tennessee tied at 14. We'll be back to Ralph Wilson Stadium in Orchard Park, New York, in a moment. On to the second quarter here in Buffalo. Wild action in the first. 3 touchdowns within 25 seconds, 2 within 12 seconds. It is a 3rd and 9 for the Titans at their 33-yard line. The running back Reynard now flanked wide to the right. Empty backfield for Hasselbeck. Hasselbeck appeared to be in trouble and then got it away, has a first down and more. Damian Williams with his first catch of the day, and that's good for 20.
Really great protection, gets this thing done here. Matt Hasselbeck he's looking to his right. Now all of a sudden he moves, and Damian Williams does a nice job working back in the middle of the field in that 2-deep coverage and finding a hole for Matt Hasselbeck.
Damian Williams, a 3rd-round pick out of Southern Cal 3 years ago. First down at the 48-yard line. Now Reynard, the running back, is flanked wide to the left. Hasselbeck goes sideline, and he completes. That's Kendall Wright, rookie from Baylor, who has had a terrific start. Chris Palmer, the offensive coordinator, telling us that he has very small hands, but as he put it immediately, great hands, and he has 34 catches off that reception, which is the most for any rookie receiver.
Yeah, it's amazing. Actually, his receptions more than any other of the three receivers taken in the first round combined: Blackman, Floyd, and Jenkins.
To go. The 15.
Now Chris Johnson in the backfield for the 2nd down and 6. Off the play action, passes through the hands of the fullback, Quinn Johnson. Covered by Nigel Bradham. Talking about Kendall Wright.
You look at those numbers, Marv, it's very impressive. And you said he leads a team in receptions, but he's got more than all those other rookie receivers combined. And as Matt Hasselbeck told us last night, just needs to eliminate the mental errors. And that's always tough for the young player coming into a very complicated system like this.
Last week, 6 catches, 71 yards in the win over the Steelers. Once again, Tennessee with the 3 wideouts. Hasselbeck with a long look and has a wide open receiver. Jared Cook puts the speed on and gets down to the 15-yard line. Brought down by the strong safety, George Wilson. 29-yard pickup.
Well, they're only going to rush 4, and that's pretty much the way it goes here in Buffalo. And they play so much too deep coverage. They've got to do a better job accounting for the tight ends in the middle of the field. I mean, we've already seen Matt Hasselbeck work Stevens quite a bit today, and now Jared Cook.
Chris Johnson, the running back. First down at the 15. Handoff to Johnson. Tries to bounce it outside. Cuts back the other way. But he's finding some space, which has been the problem for Chris Johnson for most of this season.
And he has to be careful, and he has to be patient and stay front side. Too often he wants to wind runs back. We always say, buyer beware. There's no one back there to block Chris Kelsey. You're on your own. And that's one of the issues with Chris Johnson, is that sometimes he becomes impatient and he wants to wind runs back too quickly.
Titans looking at a 2nd down and 6 at the 11. Chris Johnson and Quinn Johnson in the backfield. Again, it is Chris Johnson. You can see him dancing around looking for that hole. And as a result, about a yard.
Well, too often at times he's too quick. And watch, follow the fullback. Look, there's the whole backside. There's nobody to block for the corner and safety. I think he's too quick at times. He has to be willing to press the hole and not be so quick to bounce it to the edge and wind it back to the other side. And he does it a lot when he sees someone flash in the hole.
Hasselbeck looking at a 3rd down and 4 at the 9. Raynaud in the backfield. Hasselbeck throwing to the right flat. He has Wright, and Wright is taken out of bounds. Kendall Wright has that stop-and-go quickness, has 14 3rd down receptions, but not this time.
Well, they have so many players. You can talk about Chris Johnson and Raynaud, and now you look at the receiver, Kendall Wright. I mean, it's so many receivers and backs that are so difficult to tackle in the open field.
Well, they say he did pick up the 1st down, got the spot, 1st and goal. This is Chris Johnson.
Well, the one thing that scares you about Chris Johnson is his speed. I mean, he can go from 0 to 80 in a heartbeat, and it doesn't take him long to get up to speed. We saw that earlier in the 83-yard run. And that, every time he touches the ball, it scares you, I think, from a defensive perspective. And that's what we talked about in the open, about building that picket fence, not allowing him to crease a hole to run through.
Johnson gets to the 1, the handoff to Harper, and he is in for the touchdown. Jamie Harper, who coming into today had accounted for Tennessee's only rushing touchdown. And they do it on the 14th play of this drive.
A good look at the movement they get up front. This Tennessee offensive line has played better the last couple weeks. Just in talking to Mike Munchak last night, Chris Palmer's, this group has done a nice job. They've been better inside. Hutchinson, Velasco, Leroy Harris healthy once again. It's made a huge difference.
Rob Baronis. And he's given Tennessee a 7-point lead. Jamie Harper, the backup running back with Javon Ringer sideline, brings it across. 14 plays, 80 yards. They have the football, 7 minutes and 13 seconds. Now Baronis will kick it off. Brad Smith returning the last kickoff to Buffalo, 89 yards for the touchdown. As he moved in front of Leotis McKelvin, made the catch, had a head of steam, and went the distance.
What's amazing is they moved the kickoff up to the 35-yard line, and you see so many returners now bringing it out of the end zone from 7-8 yards deep.
Wynn knocking the ball off the tee. Well, Buffalo had brought in a kickoff specialist, and John Potter, who had not done what they had expected, so Ryan Lindell is back kicking off, and his kicks have been short.
Baronis has always done a good job getting good hang time on his kickoffs.
Ryan Mouton will hold it for Baronis, and he bangs it into the end zone. McKelvin will stay right there. So we'll take a break. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Samsung Galaxy S3. The next big thing is already here. 1&1 My Website, where creating a business website is easy. And by Chrysler, imported from Detroit.
You get it?
Hall of Famer Jim Kelly bonding with fans. Always festive tailgating here in Buffalo as the Bills start out from their 20-yard line. They are trailing Tennessee 21-14. And off to C.J. Spiller. Looks to make the turn, and then is gang tackle just shy of the marker. Combination of Jason McCourty, the left corner, Jordan Babineau, the strong safety. Jason McCourty, the twin brother of New England's Devin, both out of Rutgers. Jason playing his last 3 seasons at Rutgers with identical twin brother Devin.
They're both very good players, and both willing to show up and run support. That's what I like about the McCourtys.
Nice fish.
Well, the Bills got the favorable spot. It is a first down picked up by Spiller. The catch by Donald Jones. Fitzpatrick off to the good start, 7 of 8. Picked up another 6, 54 yards passing, including a touchdown. Have a 235-yard total for the Titans.
Look at that, 10.2 per play, and Buffalo not that bad either at 7.3. A lot of big plays already here in the first half.
Yeah, those numbers skewed by the work of Chris Johnson. And Smith had that 89-yard return. Spiller thought he had a hole, then turned back, reaching out near the 40-yard line. But Will Witherspoon able to make the stop.
Well, if you like big plays, we saw a bunch of them in the first quarter. Chris Johnson gets it started with a 16-yard touchdown run, capping off an 8-play, 77-yard drive. Fred Jackson comes right back on the middle screen to tie it at 7. And then, of course, the big run, the 89-yard run from Chris Johnson, 0 to 80 in a heartbeat. Brad Smith comes right back with the big kickoff return, an 89-yard kickoff return to tie it at 14.
It is a first down for Buffalo from their 40-yard line. Once again, Spiller breaks free. Spiller tripped up across the 40. C.J. Spiller stopped by Michael Griffin. The free safety goes for 21. This is a guy who is averaging better than 7 yards per carry.
Yeah, they're doing a great job getting up on the second level and turning C.J. Spiller loose. And I just think that the idea that he had a chance to play a lot of football at the end of the last season was so important, where he gained a valuable experience as well as confidence when Fred Jackson was out.
He started 11 games with Jackson suffering that broken right leg. And then when Jackson was sidelined for a couple of games this season, received the opportunity on the screen. Jackson, what a combination with Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller. Griffin makes the stop. That's a 7-yard play.
Well, the Bills are a very good screen team. There's a number of reasons why. First, the backs are very patient, and then they've got some linemen that can get out and run. Guys like Levitri and Wood. And Fitzpatrick does a nice job drawing the rush, holding the ball till the very last second, and then kicking it to either Fred Jackson or C.J. Spiller.
And Rich, we're seeing a more accurate Ryan Fitzpatrick to this point.
Yeah, we really are, and I think that's important. And he gets back to him trusting his feet, Mark.
Jackson breaking tackles, has the first down, moving it to the 20-yard line. He goes for 12, met by Cameron Windley and Will Witherspoon.
Well, this offense has evolved a little bit. You look at the two backs since the beginning of last season. Look at the yards per rush, touchdowns, both 1,000-yard rushers. And last year was more about spreading you out, throwing the ball first, and then eventually getting to the run. This year, they've changed gears. I think they've transitioned. It's more about running the football and then eventually getting to the pass.
And now the Bills to the Wildcat. Brad Smith in at quarterback. Hands it off. Spiller makes the turn. Spiller swings his way inside
C.J. Spiller with the
the 15-yard line. He picked up 7. Ryan Mouton makes the tackle. Chan Gailey loves the gadget plays, and he has the right man in Brad Smith, although that pass last week in the game at Arizona thrown by Smith, questionable.
No, but it's just something else you have to prepare for if you're Tennessee. And I think what they're struggling with right now, Tennessee, so much of their defensive package is sub. So they've got 5 and sometimes 6 defensive backs in the game, and Buffalo is just running against that look.
Second down and 3 at the 14. Spiller cuts back the other way, and he is tackled for a loss. Try to make something out of it, but Cameron Windley got the wraps on him, and he lost 3 yards on the play.
And when Tennessee is playing well defensively, it all starts with their front. They've got 24 negative runs, the second most in the league this year, coming into today's game, and they do a very good job penetrating. And if they can be disruptive with their front 4, then they can stop the run. Good look at Jerry Gray, the defensive coordinator. He is not happy with what he's seen so far here in the first half.
Third down and 6 from the 17. Spiller remains in the backfield. Fitzpatrick able to stand in. He completes inside the 15 to Smith. An advance of 5.
That's one of these things where you apologize to the receiver afterwards. Ryan Fitzpatrick has to do a better job of seeing out in front of the throw. The one thing that the receiver can't take is the hit in the front, and he's got to protect him and try and slow down Smith in the hole. It's a big hit there by Ryan Mouton.
About 1.5 yards short of a first down. So here is Ryan Lindell with a 31-yard attempt. He has not had much work in terms of field goal attempts, only his 4th of the season, and this one is good. So he's 4 of 4, had the game winner last week, and with just under 4 left in this first half, Titans up 21-17. Coming up on the Verizon halftime report, the guys getting ready. Join JD, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Verizon halftime report. Well, these are 2 former American Football League teams. These franchises go back to 1960. Tennessee has the Houston Oilers, of course. And this has been wide open AFL-style play in the first half. Renaud out across the 10. He's to the 20 and scrambles his way to the 30-yard line, a 26-yard return. So we'll get another look at Chris Johnson and the Titans. when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx. FedEx does more than shipping. FedEx, solutions that matter. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Back in Orchard Park, New York, just outside Buffalo. Rich, as we look at these two teams, you think back to your quarterback days. I think you would have enjoyed going against either one of these defenses. 3:45 to go, first half. Hasselbeck took a hit, and the pass goes wide, intended for the tight end, Jared Cook.
One of the few misses today from Matt Hasselbeck, and you see him here at the top, trying to get the tight end across the middle. You see Kyle Williams come clean, but almost 400 yards of total offense from both of these teams today. Hasselbeck 10 of 12, but he's connected on with 6 different receivers, and Fitzpatrick 9 of 10.
The running back is Chris Johnson, and he takes the handoff. Oh, he has space. Johnson looked to break away. He's able to cut to the left, and then was taken down inside the 45. Justin Rogers able to stay with the play. Another 25 for Chris Johnson.
And when he is decisive straight downhill, this is really where he's at his best. And not a lot of safeties. You see Wilson there trying to make the play. Not a lot of safeties are going to be able to make that play in the open field.
The numbers on Chris Johnson, wow, helped by that 83-yard run.
So much for the dry spell, huh?
9 rushes, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. First down at the 44-yard line. Here is Harper. Picked up a yard. Jamie Harper, second-year man from Clemson, a 4th-round draft pick, as I mentioned earlier, playing for the injured Javon Ringer.
There's a guy that likes to run the football, Hall of Famer Mike Munchak, and about his offensive line coach Bruce Matthews. And look where the big plays have come, right down the middle, right behind their offensive line. Hutchinson, Harris, and Velasco inside.
Titans looking at a 2nd and 9. Once again, Harper, and nothing there. Tried the middle.
Carter with the handoff.
And again, Kyle Williams in on the tackle. Kyle Williams very proud of that one appearance he made last week as a fullback.
That's right. I wonder when they're going to handle it to him. He continues to be a dominant force up front for the Bills.
And he is an excellent all-around athlete, and he would be the first to tell you that.
You're right.
Two minutes remaining. First half, Marv Albert, Rich Gannon. Not exactly a defensive clash between these two clubs. 3rd down and 9 for Tennessee at the Buffalo 43. Hasselbeck throwing the bomb and overthrows intended for Kenny Britt. So the punting unit will come on.
Well, this is one that he'd love to have back. He actually has Kenny Britt one-on-one working right down the middle of the field. You just got to hit him. Got all that room to work with. You can't overthrow it. You've got to give Kenny Britt a chance to make a play.
So this is Brett Kern, who is actually a local product, native of Grand Island, New York, located between Niagara Falls and Buffalo. A Bills fan growing up. Says he was at the comeback game back in 1993 when he was 6 years old. Bills and Oilers as Kern gets it away. And the fair catch made by McKelvin. Now these two franchises certainly represent a flashback to the days of the AFL. Titans, the Oilers at the time, early on, and the Bills have not been to the playoffs since back in 1999. Remember this one, their last appearance ended in heartbreak as the Titans' Kevin Dyson took that Frank Wycheck lateral 75 yards for the game-winning score in what we all know as the Music City Miracle.
Yeah, and that's a good look at Frank Wycheck here right in the middle of your screen, and Frank was the one that actually made the throw. I got a chance to talk to him before the game, and this wasn't something that was predetermined for him to throw. He said it was actually Lorenzo Neal or any of the upbacks, and Lorenzo Neal turned to him before the kick and said, hey, if I get it, I'm going to let it to you. I want you to throw it. So Frank's actually the one who made the throw to Kevin Dyson.
And Frank now a broadcaster for the Tennessee Titans. He's a color commentator. That is dropped by Jackson. Fred Jackson, the intended receiver on the swing pass, with Buffalo starting out at their 13-yard line with 1:42 left in this first half.
The other interesting thing is that Bruce DeHaven, the special teams coach for the Bills, was the coach at the time under Wade Phillips. He actually got fired after that, went to San Francisco for a couple years, and Alan Lowry, the special teams coach of the Titans, was the special teams coach under Jeff Fisher.
Inside handoff to Jackson. He found the hole and brings it across the 20. Met by Akeem Ayers. Goes for 8. Weren't you a teammate of Frank Wycheck at one point?
I was. Actually, back in 1993, we were with the Washington Redskins together. Frank was just a rookie, and we knew very early on that when Norv Turner came in, they wanted to make him a fullback and not a tight end, so we decided to move to Tennessee. It was a brilliant move for Frank Wycheck.
Third down play. Fitzpatrick with a bullet and has a first down. Stevie Johnson on a 19-yard pass play, but there's a flag in. But the combination of Fitzpatrick and Johnson working much better than we saw last week in the game at Arizona.
Yeah, and he's a little bit unorthodox as a route runner sometimes, but you know, he loves the challenge each week. Stevie Johnson, it's Ryan Fitzpatrick's go-to guy, especially versus man coverage.
From into the run, 15 yards automatic. First down.
Well, this is going to be on Michael Griffin. You see Stevie now. That's just a little bit high, and it's so hard for these safeties sometimes. They're trying to lower their aiming point, but yet you've got a receiver that's coming down, and it's frustrating. It really is frustrating.
Rich, that's the third personal foul penalty of the afternoon. Sets up 1st and 10 at the Tennessee 45. The running back is Fred Jackson. Fitzpatrick off the roll. Oh, that was a dangerous pass. Nearly picked off by Derek Morgan, the defensive end. It was intended for Fred Jackson.
Really alert play here by Derek Morgan. He's going to see the screen. He's going to follow the back all the way back around and make a play on this. And they've been hurt by this same middle screen a couple times today. Just a good alert play by Morgan.
Balanced play selection by the Buffalo Bills. Second down and 10. T.J. Graham, a recipient of that pass, his second catch of the day. That's good for 6, and a timeout is taken by Buffalo. Coming up on the Verizon halftime report, join JV, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's coming up on the Verizon halftime report. Well, last week the Bills ending that losing streak at 2. And I'd have to say, Rich, following 2 of the worst weeks in the history of the franchise, as they were beaten up pretty good by New England, giving up 52 points. They lose at San Francisco 45-3. They stayed out on the West Coast. Chan Gailey telling us that the extra time that the Bills spent out west last couple of weeks, very good for the team. Said good for bonding, no distractions. And best yet, they came up with a victory at Arizona.
And sometimes when you do something simple like that, it can be very beneficial. I think just breaking up the routine last week was good for the Bills.
3rd and 4, and the completion for the first down. Fred Jackson makes the catch. Picked up 8. So Buffalo on the move, and again a timeout called by the Bills. They stopped the clock with 41 seconds to play in the first half.
And this is the benefit of having a guy like Fred Jackson, his ability to go out and play wide receiver and to run some of those routes. It gives you that versatility in the offense.
Coming into today, a four-way tie in the AFC East. New England, Miami, Jets, and Buffalo all at 3-3. Jets play later at New England. It's a bye week for Miami. Look at the total yards here.
Well, if you're either defensive coordinator, that'll make you sick. We've got Dave Wannstedt just to the left of us in the booth, and of course Jerry Gray down the field. We're pleading with these guys to make some plays, make some tackles, and get off the field.
Jackson is flanked out to the left with his 1st and 10. Fitzpatrick looking that way, and now goes incomplete. Actually, Stevie Johnson, the intended receiver, looked to be miscommunication there.
Well, when Ryan Fitzpatrick misses a throw, it's usually behind the receiver, and you see Stevie Johnson a little bit longer there with the move on the slant route. He's surprised. He's expecting it inside, and I think maybe Fitzpatrick thought that Stevie would throttle it down in the hole.
2nd and 10 as T.J. Graham flanks right, and Johnson is to the left. The running back is Jackson, and takes the inside handoff, but the play is blown dead.
False start.
And the call
for 75
on Buffalo. It's on the left tackle, Chris Hairston, who moved over from right tackle. He had been playing for the injured Eric Piers. Piers is back and now starting for the injured Gordy Glenn. There have been injury problems on the offensive line at right guard. Chad Reinhardt, 2nd straight week starting for the injured Craig Urbett. 2nd and 15 at the Tennessee 36. Fitzpatrick underneath. Donald Jones got it immediately, picked up 6. Clock running down to 25 seconds to play in the half. Out of the gun, Fitzpatrick swings it. Here's Jackson. Trying to get out of bounds to stop the clock, but did not. Altron Berner, the right corner, stopped him, picked up 7. Clock continues to run, and a timeout stops it, so they will set up for the field goal. Scoreboard shows 2 seconds remaining in this first half. Well, Steven Spielberg talks about his new film, Lincoln, and the timeless lessons it holds for today's politicians. 60 minutes tonight.
Well, it seems like Ryan Fitzpatrick's in a groove right now, Marv. 14 of 18, and spending much of his day in the shotgun, and the ball's coming out quick. It's tough to get pressure on him. The offensive line, despite some changes up front with the injuries, they've done a really nice job protecting Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Here's Ryan Lindell attempting a 42-yarder, which would be his longest of the season. He hit from 31 earlier. And this one is good. It just did squeeze in inside the upright. So with the Ryan Lindell field goal at the half, the Titans with a 21-20 lead on the Bills. Back with the second half shortly.
We get busy from the start. Come on, Bills. Let's do whatever it takes to get a win today.
Johnson finds the hole. He can explode, and he does. Touchdown, Titans. Smith puts the speed on, breaks tackles, gets by the kick of Aronis, and he is flown. It has been action-packed here in Buffalo as we head to the second half. Tennessee with a 21-20 lead over Buffalo. Now the Droid Razor end play presented by Motorola. Late first quarter, Matt Hasselbeck with the handoff to Chris Johnson, and it is goodbye. 83 yards for the touchdown, his second of the game. Marv Albert with Rich Gannon. And Rich, how about 3 touchdowns within 25 seconds at one stretch, and then 2 within 12 seconds. How would you like to be one of the defensive coordinators out here today?
I imagine you're sick to your stomach. Neither defense has played well. They haven't tackled well. They're giving up explosive plays, and they haven't made adjustments. I hope that both coordinators have had a chance to talk to these teams at halftime and will make some adjustments. They're really getting beat up in their sub packages.
Let's take a look at some of the statistics, and they really pop out.
Yeah, almost 500 yards of offense from these two teams. We talked about the explosive plays, Marv. I mean, the explosive plays outnumber the punts 5-1 in the first half. And so I think it's prudent that some of these players start playing better up front. Defensive lines have been bulldozed in the running game by both of these offensive lines. Line play has to improve from the Titans and the Bills.
And Chris Johnson with 139 yards rushing in the first half set a career high for best rushing performance in a first half. Chris may be purchasing a condo here in Buffalo off his excellent play. We talked about it earlier. The best game he had in quite some time was Week 13 last season here in Buffalo. 153 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he went 10 games without a touchdown until this afternoon.
And it's amazing, they talked about the success against the Bills, but remember now, they were a 3-4 team last year, they're a 4-3 team this year, a new defensive coordinator, they got new players, but yet similar success for Chris Johnson.
McKelvin and Smith are back deep for Buffalo. This is McKelvin out to the 15. Angles his way to the 30, picks up speed once again. Poor coverage on the kick return. We've seen this from both teams.
And remember, the big return in the first half from Brad Smith went to the left side. And you look at Chris Johnson in the first half. I mean, he got things started with this big bounce run to the edge for 16 yards and a touchdown. But this was the big one, the explosive one, the 83-yard run. And you just can't give this guy a crease or he'll make you pay.
Leotis McKelvin on a 46-yard kick return sets up Buffalo first down at their 46. Fred Jackson and Corey McIntyre in the backfield. As we get underway in the third quarter, and a flag is tossed.
False start. Offense number 11. 5-yard penalty. It's still first.
It is on the wideout, T.J. Graham, rookie from North Carolina State, so they'll move it back.
And what happened, T.J. Graham, is they've called one play in the huddle. You see Ryan Fitzpatrick with that wristband. He's got about 130 plays on that wristband each week, but they call an audible, and the rookie T.J. Graham flinches. Good look at that wristband. Not a lot of quarterbacks wear their wedding band, but Ryan Fitzpatrick chooses to do that.
And I'm sure his wife appreciates it. Oh, this time Fitzpatrick took a pounding, lost the ball, recovered by Tennessee. Fitzpatrick took a shot. Derek Morgan with the recovery for the Titans.
And remember now, Cordy Glenn is out, so you've got the new left tackle in there, Chris Harrison. And he never feels the pressure come around the edge. That's a big play by Morgan.
The Titans will get it back at the Buffalo 32-yard line. Strong first half for Matt Hasselbeck. He came out throwing out of a no huddle. Chris Johnson was phenomenal in the first half. Britt is lined up now to the right. They go to the ground. This is Johnson. About a yard on the play.
Well, this is where Chris Johnson can be better. They're not all going to be huge runs, and sometimes it's not clean. Sometimes the best you can do is smack it up in there for 2 or 3 yards, or even if you get back to the line of scrimmage. That way you eliminate the negative runs. Last game they played against Pittsburgh was the first game all season they stayed on schedule and they didn't have a negative run. That's where Chris Johnson can and has to be better.
Second down and 9. Hasselbeck with the short set. Hasselbeck throwing end zone. A diving attempt. Nate Washington, the intended receiver, covered by Aaron Williams, and it is incomplete.
That's pretty good coverage there by Aaron Williams. And maybe a better throw here from Matt Hasselbeck gets it done. This one kind of falls back inside. He's got to keep it outside where Nate Washington at least has some leverage that can use that sidelines.
And Aaron Williams, Rich, has struggled. He's been beaten for 5 touchdowns. That is the most by any NFL cornerback, and the feeling is he may be fighting for his job.
And you got the sense last night in talking to Matt Hasselbeck, all things being equal, he's going to work away from Gilmore and go after Williams.
Pass caught by Kendall Wright, and he's on the move. He goes for 11 and a first down. George Wilson, the strong safety, making the tackle.
You got to look at Wright. Kendall Wright is kind of fearless. He doesn't know any better as a young receiver. They just kick out that quick screen. He's willing to run right back up inside where there's traffic.
3 catches for Wright. They go 4 wideouts. Johnson. Talking with the coaching staff of the Titans, they prefer, if Johnson doesn't have anything going, that he take the 1 or 2 or 3-yard gain, because he'll cut back, look for space, look for the home run, and that's where he's been getting hurt. A lot of plays where he ends up losing 2 or 3 yards.
And that makes things difficult, obviously, on Chris Palmer, the offensive coordinator, Matt Hasselbeck. I mean, it's tough calling plays when it's 2nd and 12 and 2nd and 13. Even if you just get back to the line of scrimmage, you give yourself a chance. He's got to be able to eliminate the negative runs.
And as you can see, he has certainly enjoyed playing against the Buffalo Bills. 2nd down and 10. Hasselbeck with a bullet pass. It is caught at inside the 10 by Damian Williams and has a first down.
Boy, Matt Hasselbeck has done a nice job spreading the ball around. He's using the tight ends, he's using the backs, and of course the receivers, and not just Nate Washington and Kenny Britt and even Kendall Wright, but also Damian Williams. Hey, look at these quarterbacks. They've been hot, both of them. And the big thing is they've been eliminating the negative plays, the turnovers and sacks, which have hurt both Hasselbeck and Fitzpatrick this season. 1st and goal at the 10-yard line. Johnson gets inside the 5. He kept going, took a hit. Went for 9, so able to bring it to the 1. Kelvin Shepard able to keep him out of the end zone. Well, this is, they seal the edge. They do a nice job getting up on the 2nd level. This is what you want to do, turn Chris Johnson loose on the perimeter. And I don't know that he's ever, we talked about all these negative runs, Marv. He's never going to be a 3 yards in a cloud of dust running back. He wants to run away from people, and he wants to beat you with his speed on the edge.
Now Jamie Harper has come on for Tennessee. 12 carries, 148 yards for Johnson. Off the fake, Hasselbeck now throws on the bootleg. It is incomplete. Brings up a 3rd and goal. Hasselbeck facing the pressure from Alex Carrington, the 3-year man from Arkansas State. Matt Hasselbeck once again playing for the injured Jake Locker. It's 12 of 18, 138 yards. Harper in the backfield with the fullback Quinn Johnson. Here's Harper. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Boy, Michael Ruse, the left tackle, and Steve Hutchinson are really doing a nice job on the left side of that offensive line. You just watch the movement they get up front. A little late getting off the ball. The tight ends, they get walked back, but it doesn't really make a difference if you got the interior of that offensive line getting movement at the point of attack. 2nd
touchdown of the game for Harper, number 3 on the season for the 2nd-year player out of Clemson. 8 plays, 32 yards within 2 minutes and 58 seconds. And this is Rob Baronis attempting the extra point. Rob, one of the premier kickers in the NFL, and pounds it through. Well, it was the sack of Ryan Fitzpatrick leading to the fumble, the recovery by Derek Morgan that set up this drive for Tennessee. And it's Harper taking it home. 8-point Titan lead. 8 plays, 32 yards, just under 3 minutes. Jamie Harper with his second touchdown of the day. And it's a 28-20 lead for Tennessee. Leonis McKelvin and Brad Smith are back. It's a short kick played by Smith. And Smith getting across the 30-yard line. Goes for 20. Patrick Bailey on the stop. And let's see what Ryan Fitzpatrick can do as he makes his return.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Volkswagen. It's not the miles, it's how you live them. And by Windows.
Rich, I know you love this stuff. You cannot get enough of it.
We had wings last night. Very good. Can't come to Buffalo and not have wings, can you?
I was studying last night.
And she's mine.
Buffalo 1st and 10 at the 34. C.J. Spiller in the backfield and takes the handoff. Has that little delay move. Gets to the 35. As we were headed to commercial, Patrick Bailey was shaken up and was able to make his way back to the far side to the Tennessee bench.
You know what? A good look at Bailey on the sidelines, and boy, they're thin at linebacker right now. McCarthy out. Dials went out earlier.
And another injury, this time being suffered by the Bills. Chad Reinhardt, who's been filling in at right guard for a second straight week for the starter, Craig Urbick. And Buffalo a bit short-handed at right guard. They do have Sam Young, and he will probably come on. Chad Reinhardt being taken care of, 5-year man from Northern Iowa who has been playing both guard spots. He's versatile offensive lineman. And for the second straight week, he is in the starting lineup for the injured Craig Urbick. He's being helped onto the cart, and they'll take him back to the locker room. If you are on the squeamish side, we suggest you turn away for a moment.
Yeah, you're just going to see he's right on the right side of your screen right here, and he's in the middle of a block, and he never feels the safety. Babineau, and Babineau's just trying to make the play on C.J. Spiller. He's just going to come down right on Reinhardt's left leg, and he gets locked in and bent back in. You hope that it's okay, but looks like for sure a lower left injury for Reinhardt.
And as I touched on a moment ago, the Buffalo Bills have had more than their share of injuries on the offensive line. They have 2 backups. One is Sam Young, who just came on for Reinhardt, 3-year player out of Notre Dame, and the other is David Snow, who had been on the practice squad several times and was re-signed, a rookie out of Texas.
And they've had the same issue last year, injuries along the offensive line, and every time it seemed like they kept having to shuffle. But this group, despite the injuries and changes along the offensive line, I thought they performed well. Harrison has come in. Reinhardt, as you said, done a really fine job filling in for Cordy Glenn and Craig Urbick.
Yeah, they're missing 2 starters and their top backup now. Out of the gun. Quick pitch to the far side. This is Spiller. Has the first down. Tripped up by Jordan Babineau. 11 more yards for Spiller.
Well, in order to get these quick screens run, you just got to watch on the perimeter. You're going to see some really nice blocks by the wide receivers. Go ahead and run it, and you just see going to kick it out wide. Look at the blocks they get right there. Here and here, big blocks so that now the back can get upfield.
3rd catch for Spiller for 29 yards. He's run for 48, maintaining the 7-yard per carry average. The completion to Donald Jones. Nice toss from Fitzpatrick. Jones tackled by Griffin, the free safety, and that's good for 20.
And I'd like to see more of this with Ryan Fitzpatrick because he has the mobility. He has the ability to get out on the edge and make some plays, either running it or throwing it. So, and it also helps the offensive line to move the launch point for the quarterback.
6th overall play combined between these two teams for 20 or more yards. Just to give you an idea of what's going on here defensively. Fitzpatrick able to flip it to Jackson. Short pickup there. Picked up 3. Keem Ayers, the strong side linebacker, able to make the stop. We've been talking about the AFC East with all 4 teams at 3-3. And you check out the NFL standings today. Rich, half of the league's 32 teams have records of 3-3, 3-2, or 2-3.
There's just 2 teams in the AFC with winning records right now, Houston and Baltimore, and so a lot of parity right now in the AFC.
Spiller makes a nice move, and then he's turned back. Michael Griffin, the free safety, with the stop, but he picked up about 7 on the play. It's only the 3rd time since 1970 that the NFL has been so tightly bunched. And this the latest in the season since division realignment back in 2002 that all 4 AFC East teams have the same record at this point. I don't know, is it parity? Is it mediocrity?
I think everybody has issues right now, and they're still trying to sort them out.
3rd down and 1. Off the roll, Fitzpatrick has the first down, and Spiller with another catch, and then is bumped out of bounds by Tim Shaw. Shaw usually a special teams player, but Tennessee is shorthanded in the linebacking situation.
And what you can't do is get outflanked on the edge. And you can't allow a back like Spiller to get outside you. And you see it from both linebackers. Ayers gets outflanked, as does Tim Shaw.
Tim Shaw last week came up with that block punt.
You've got to be able to force these backs up inside.
First down at the Tennessee 15. Fitzpatrick throws, end zone, touchdown! Donald Jones with the diving catch. The Bills are within 2.
This is a big-time throw by Ryan Fitzpatrick, and you just see Donald Jones working on the safety, Michael Griffin, and he just can't handle the speed and quickness of Donald Jones.
And now you may ask, why not go for the 2, but it's too early.
Right. Yep, definitely. Down 2, the card tells you to go for it, but this early in the game, I think you take the field goal, or take the extra point.
So Ryan Lindell puts it through. It's a 1-point Tennessee lead. Beautiful catch by Jones.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by TD Ameritrade. And by Audi. Truth in engineering.
$73,000 at Ralph Wilson Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. Marv Albert, Rich Gannon. And if you like scoring, you're loving what you have seen. 28-27, the Titans over the Bills. Once again, the little breeze that knocked the ball off the tee. Darius Raynaud back awaiting the kickoff from Ryan Lindell. Raynaud, a one-time member of the Vikings and Giants. Excellent kick returner. He's averaging about 27. He had a 105-yard touchdown return earlier this season. We're halfway through the 3rd quarter. And once again,
that's on Ryan Lindell. These kickers, they put the ball on the tee and they hardly even put it in there right. So it's so tipped up. I'm going to blame that on Lindell. Put the ball on the tee the right way.
But you had this bad attitude about
See, he's trying to lean it. See what he's trying to do? He's trying to lean it. So they want to get a little bit of a lean, And that makes it very difficult with the wind and those little tees they have to use nowadays.
So in your days, did you have these tips for kickers in windy conditions?
Yeah, kickers.
I would think you were very annoying.
Kickers are very sensitive guys.
Here is Radon with the return. Gets it across the 25 up near the 30. Let's see where they mark his forward progress.
You know, it's fun to go back and take a look at a really good-looking throw by Ryan Fitzpatrick. It caught my eye, so I had the guys cut it up. Just look at his eyes. He's actually trying to move the safety with his eyes in the middle of the drop. Now watch right before he goes to crank this thing out. Look how he uses his core. He'll use his left arm, his left side, and he'll use those legs to drive this ball to Donald Jones. I mean, he puts everything into that throw to beat the safety.
Donald Jones with his third touchdown reception of the season. Chris Johnson returns to the backfield. First down at the 32-yard line. Johnson finds the opening and is able to get out to the 40-yard line, met by the strong safety, George Wilson. So another 8 for Johnson.
You know, Marcel Darius has to start playing better inside. You know, this Bills defense, we talked about them in the preseason about maybe being the best defensive line in football. They went out and spent a lot of money on Mario Williams, Mark Anderson, who's out today, but Kyle Williams is a Pro Bowler. Marcel Darius, this big guy inside, he has to start getting off of blocks and start making plays in the running game.
Darius, a first-round pick last season, 11th overall. Again, Johnson this time to the outside.
Well, now that we talked about Marcel Darius, just watch him. He's going to get off of this block. Good job. Now get off the block and chase. And don't allow Chris Johnson to run back up inside. And that's what you want to do. Force a back like Chris Johnson to run east and west and not north and south.
And Johnson got the spot. He just did pick up the first down.
Mike, together. Super team. Put together.
Play fake to Johnson. Hasselbeck in trouble. Taken down by Chris Kelsey. That is his second sack of the season. He is starting for the injured Mark Anderson, is recovering from knee surgery.
This is a coverage sack. Matt Hasselbeck's got nowhere to go. They've got the coverage down here. They're doubling here, and they're also doubling with the corner and the safety down on the bottom, so Matt's got nowhere to go. He's looking for the back. Even the back is covered. And, of course, he never feels Chris Kelsey once he scrambles to his left.
That sets it back to a second down and 14, a loss of 4. Johnson, the feature back. Hasselbeck off the fake. He throws deep downfield. It is incomplete, intended for Damian Williams. It'll be a third down and 14. Join the NFL and the American Cancer Society in the fight against breast cancer by supporting a crucial catch campaign. Visit NFL.com/auction to bid on authentic NFL pink gear worn by players and coaches. 100% of proceeds benefit the American Cancer Society. Third and 14 from the 39. Radon is flanked to the left. Empty backfield. Hasselbeck completes, but well short of a first down. Kenny Britt had nowhere to go. Nick Barnett was right there.
Well, it's a big stop for Buffalo, and it's one of their, it feels like it's one of their only stops of the day. But you get them backed up in third down, and you just rush 3 and drop in coverage and then rally to the tackle. Good series for that Buffalo defense.
Second punt coming up here for Brett Kern. Leotis McKelvin is back at his 17. Nice punt. McKelvin let it go, and it ends up, good decision, ends up in the end zone. They'll bring it out to the 20. Well, Rich, as several of the Bills were talking with us the other day, this past Friday night, as part of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Bills held the Believe Breast Cancer Awareness event at Niagara Falls to raise money for the fight against breast cancer. To start the evening, the Bills flipped a switch to light up the Falls pink. And I'm told that Belinda Carlisle was on hand to sing some of Rich's favorites.
From the Go-Go's, that's right.
Yeah.
Former lead singer of the Go-Go's.
Buffalo back in possession, and Fitzpatrick just dumps it off as he was in trouble, could not find anyone. The pressure coming from Derek Morgan and Cedric Marks.
They're doing a good job getting some pressure now on Ryan Fitzpatrick. You see the two ends come around side, and wow, that's a big takedown from some Derek Marks.
It's a jump pass, but not the kind of jump pass that you'd have in mind.
He's just doing everything he can to get rid of it. But again, the key for him, avoiding the negative plays.
This has to be one of his best efforts since last season. 19 of 24, including that last throwaway. Jackson broke a tackle and scrambles his way to the 25, met by Babineau. Fitzpatrick, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. He'd completed 7 in a row before that one he just had to throw away.
And I think the thing that really helps him is the running game. I mean, the fact that they've got the running game cranked up now with Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller. And I think being a bit more conservative at times wouldn't be a bad thing for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think there's a fine line between being too timid and being overly aggressive. He just has to find that in his game.
I know it's a bad stereotype, but wouldn't you think a guy from Harvard would be more conservative? Bad stereotype.
Yeah, that's a bad stereotype.
Jackson has a first down. Well, I'm thinking he's thinking things out a little more.
Right, you know, you and I were just having the conversation. I mean, just because, and I don't mean this sarcastically, but just because you go to Harvard and you're an intelligent guy doesn't mean you're a smart football guy. Ryan Fitzpatrick happens to be a smart football guy, but when you go back and you look at him, I mean, the thing that bothers you are the mistakes, the turnovers, the negative plays, and it's been a problem. 23 interceptions last year, and when he plays well and he avoids the multiple interception games, the Buffalo Bills usually win.
Well, you had mentioned it. He's a gunslinger.
That's his mentality.
And when you do that, you're going to make mistakes. No mistake there as he hits the tight end, Scott Chandler, and has another first down. That's good for 13. Babineau making the stop.
But Marv, he no longer needs to be a gunslinger. They went out and got him help on defense. They've got these two backs now. They've got Stevie Johnson. There's more talent around him, and I think it's changed. You know, when he first got here, if he didn't light it up and throw for 350, they weren't going to win. Now they can run the football. Now Chan can help him with the play calls. And he has to be smarter, making good decisions. If he can do that, this team can get things turned around on offense.
1st and 10 at the Buffalo 45-yard line. And again, some room for Jackson. The hole opening up on the right side, and then Al Afalava is there to make the stop. He picked up 8. So Jackson and Spiller have played well here this afternoon.
Got to be able to protect yourself at the end of runs. We've seen C.J. Spiller take a couple big hits here today.
And now total yards about the same. Tennessee had the big edge in that department. Bills now take a timeout. Second and 2 when we resume with 2:04 remaining in this third quarter. There's Jason McCourty, left corner of the Titans. And Rich, it is time now for a new feature in our telecast, the Quickie Quiz, where I ask the question, and Rich, hopefully you will have the answer. Here it is. Just talked about Tennessee, Jason McCourty, who is the twin brother of New England's linebacker, Devin McCourty. Can you tell me which one is Jason?
Jason's on the right.
Sorry. That's a trick question.
That's wrong.
Jason.
That's wrong.
Anything goes on Quickie Quiz. Fred Jackson is able to break free and has a first down. Michael Griffin picked up 13 on the play. Let's properly identify the McCourty brothers. There's Jason. There's Devin of the Patriots. And I'm told we are already trending on Twitter. Sometimes there's trick questions, sometimes legitimate.
They look a little different there.
You just don't know what's coming. 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line. Spiller has returned to the backfield. Spiller to the outside. Oh, he takes a pop and keeps going.
Craig's going in.
Listen to this hit. Oh, and that is Al Alfalava. Although, if you're C.J. Spiller, it never happened. Picked up 7.
He hit so hard, he knocked the tape off the top of his helmet, the decal.
But he continued and picked up 7. It's a 2nd down and 3. Spiller. This time is stopped in his tracks. Time is running out here in the 3rd quarter. Spiller picked up a yard right there. 10 carries for 62 yards for Spiller.
And one of the problems you have if you're the Tennessee Titans is they keep rolling a fresh back in the game. First it's Fred Jackson, and then when he gets tired, they bring in a fresh set of legs with C.J. Spiller. And both are capable of ripping off some big runs.
It's a 3rd and 2 at the Tennessee 27. Spiller now flanked out and now moves back into the backfield. The Bills trail 28-27. Time running down in this 3rd quarter. Fitzpatrick throws. Stevie Johnson. Touchdown. Stevie Johnson working against, Jason McCourty, the left corner. Johnson made a great move. That's his 4th catch for 64 yards. And his 4th touchdown of the season. Buffalo has taken the lead. Here is Ryan Lindell for the extra point. 9 plays, 80 yards. The Bills back on top by 6 with 5 seconds to play in the 3rd. What a day for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
When we go back and look at the scoring play, watch the job they do up front. Now they're going to turn the offensive line and make a razor call. The back's going to come over, and he's going to block the end man on the line of scrimmage. They empty out the middle of the field because he's responsible in coverage, and now all of a sudden you've got one-on-one coverage and the middle of the field open. This is just too easy for Stevie Johnson and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Well, you empty the middle of the field out, you bring pressure, you just watch Ryan Fitzpatrick. We talked about using his entire body. That is a dart throw from Ryan Fitzpatrick. Oh, he's really playing well. I think he's seeing things. I think his footwork is better. I think his mechanics, he's not missing throws behind the receivers. He's just in a rhythm right now. 22 of 27, 216 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the key, no interceptions.
But the way this one is going, it may come down to last team to be in possession of the football. 34-28 Buffalo. Final seconds of the 3rd. Darius Raynaud is back deep.
There ought to be a penalty for putting the ball on the tee the wrong time, like 3 or 4 times in a game.
Did you say you'd like to see a penalty?
Yeah, some delay of game on the kicker. How about this? Buffalo scored on 5 of their last 6 possessions, Marvin. Stevie Johnson having some fun with the crowd.
The kick by Lindell, the short kick. Raynaud got a good block, across the 20. Try to cut back, and that is the end of the third quarter. Ravel Martin made the stop, 22-yard return. That's the end of 3, 6-point lead for the Bills. We'll be back to Buffalo after this message and a word from your local station. On a 55-degree day in Buffalo, it has been entertaining football. Not from the defensive point of view, but we're on to the fourth quarter. And the Bills have taken a 34-28 lead. Chris Johnson for Tennessee gets the call. Picked up a yard. And Chris Johnson, who has been certainly facing the criticism, although had a good game last week in the victory. Coming up with 91 yards on the ground, 4 catches, but has not had a game like this since back week 13 here in Buffalo last season. 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. Deep drop by Hasselbeck, goes to the screen. Johnson taken down by the combination of Bradham and Shepard, picked up just 3. It'll be a 3rd and 6 at the Titan 27.
And that's why it's so important for Tennessee not to fall behind in games, because then you lose some of the contributions from Chris Johnson in the running game.
Crowd on its feet, urging on the Buffalo defensive unit. Both these teams have struggled in the fourth quarter. 3 wideouts for Tennessee. Hasselbeck, a diving catch is made by Damian Williams. And it's a first down for the Titans.
Really a nice adjustment there by Williams. I mean, Matt Hasselbeck throws this ball early, I think before Damian Williams is even out of the break, and he has to adjust to a throw that's low and away.
How about the play of Matt Hasselbeck? Remember the offseason, Titans owner Bud Adams took a run at Peyton Manning, and then he was told that, hey, Jake Locker's our guy this year. We want to make certain that he gets the reps. And now Hasselbeck has come on the last couple of games because of the shoulder injury. This is Johnson getting out to the 40, picked up 5, met by George Wilson. We're set for an NFL update. Let's go to JB and Coach Bill Cowher.
Skins mistake cost them.
Yeah, RG3 lets this ball sail a little bit. Stevie Bryant is right there under it. He's going to return this. This will set up an Ahmad Bradshaw 1-yard touchdown run, and the Giants score out 20-13 in the fourth quarter.
Marv Albert, Rich Gannon.
All right, JB. Hasselbeck now 15 of 22, 153 yards, looking at a second down and 5. The ball goes to Johnson. Angles off the left side, and he is stopped. Stopped by Jarris Burr, the free safety, and linebacker Nick Barnett went for 3, so Chris Johnson has been held in check thus far on this drive. It'll be a 3rd down and 2 from the 43.
Well, it seems like Buffalo's doing a little bit better job in the run defense here in the second half.
Once again, Bills fans respond to the defense. 3 wideouts for the Titans. Hasselbeck on the roll. Completes right at the marker for a first down. Nate Washington on the reception, picked up 3, and it is a first down for Tennessee.
And a little bit of a communication issue there, trying to get Bradham out to cover up the slot defender. He's late getting out there. And this is just too easy for Matt Hasselbeck, throwing it to Nate Washington. Communication absolutely critical. A lot of the mistakes that wind up really hurting you on offense or defense are because of poor communication.
First out of the 47. Washington flanks out to the left side. It's back to the ground. Jamie Hawker stopped by Alex Carrington. Picked up 3 on the play, and we go back to New York for an NFL update. JB and Bill Cowher.
Carolina trying to snap a 3-game losing streak.
Now Dallas is another barn burner. Mike Toller takes this one out, 2 yards, and now they take the lead 14-13 in the fourth quarter.
Nip and tuck there, Marv Albert. Rich Gannon.
2 teams, 2 quarterbacks in desperate need of a win. Carolina and Dallas.
Full house backfield. Hasselbeck decided to throw it away with Barnett in front of the intended receiver, Taylor Thompson, a rookie out of SMU.
And that was a good decision by Matt Hasselbeck. Nowhere to go with that ball.
Now Darius Raynaud checks in. It's a third at about 10. At the Tennessee 46. Raynaud is to the near side, flanked out, empty backfield. Hasselbeck's pass is dropped. Raynaud not able to hang on, and a flag is thrown.
I don't know if they got that off quick enough.
There was no play before the snap. Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty, still third down.
They took too much time. Delay of game prior to the snap.
Yeah, you see Matt here. He's still going to get hit. It's stepped on as well.
That sets it back to a third down and 15. Damian Williams flanks wide to the left side. Bills defense charged up in the second half. It has improved immeasurably. Hasselbeck in trouble, able to complete underneath. Raynaud battling his way, but short, way short of a first down. Good job by Jarris Burr, the free safety, the AFC Defensive Player of the Week, who had the 2 interceptions last week at Arizona.
It's actually a positive play from Matt Hasselbeck. You've got third and a ton, and you just check it down to the back. You get back to midfield. You hope your punter can come out and pin him back, and your defense can get a stop.
Third punt of the day for Brett Kern. Leotis McKelvin back behind his 10. Good hang time. Fair catch called for. Takes it just inside the 15. 36-yard punt, but no return allowed. Buffalo by 6. 9 minutes, 33 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter, with the Bills leading the Titans 34-28. And Buffalo starts out at its 14-yard line. C.J. Spiller is the running back. That's Scott Chandler, the tight end, in motion. Spiller somehow was able to work his way through. Getting out to the 20, Cameron Windley made the tackle. That's an 8-yard advance for Spiller.
Well, C.J. Spiller has been slippery today, and you look at these 6 possessions today. They've made the most of just about every one of them, with the exception of the fourth one. And you look at that's tremendous consistency and production, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they've had good balance. They've been able to run the football, and when Ryan Fitzpatrick has thrown it, he's been right on the screws.
So Spiller, who came in averaging better than 7 yards per carry, which is phenomenal, has carried now 11 times for 70 yards, so he has surpassed that. Stevie Johnson working so well with Ryan Fitzpatrick after they had some difficulty last season in Arizona, makes the catch for 6 yards. Alfred Werner on the tackle. 5th catch for Johnson for 70 yards, including a touchdown. And you can see he's holding his right wrist, trying to shake it off.
Yeah, this is a contested throw and catch, and then he's trying to squeeze it, and at the same time he's getting hit by Brown, the linebacker.
It's a Buffalo first down. They're at their 28. Spiller gets the handoff once again. Try to get to the edge. It's turned around by Cameron Windley. Picked up a yard on the play. Buffalo going up against a defensive unit in the Tennessee Titans that has allowed 204 points, most in the NFL, and the Titans, like the Bills, have had big problems in the fourth quarter. Tennessee has allowed 72 points in the fourth quarter, so that's 35% of their total.
And that's where you really need to be at your best, late in games, and they just have not been consistent enough really in any phase defensively.
And Buffalo has had the same difficulties, particularly in the fourth quarter. Fitzpatrick guns it. Scott Chandler out of the 44-yard line for a first down. That's a 16-yard pickup.
Well, they haven't found the tight end very much today. And when you have one that's 6'7", you got to give him some opportunities. But the thing that's been most impressive to me so far, Marv, when I've watched Ryan Fitzpatrick, is just how well he's thrown the ball and how accurate he's been.
But this one is coming back, Rich, on a hold. They place it back at the 19. Did not hear the announcement on the public address by Mike Carey, but trust us, it was a hold, setting up a 2nd and 20 at the 19-yard line. Jones in motion for the Bills. Fitzpatrick with a dump off. He had nowhere to go. Spiller is hit for a loss. Zach Brown was right there. Brown, the rookie out of North Carolina, second-round pick, who's getting some playing time because Zach Giles, who started for the injured Colin McCarthy, was injured. So the Titans shorthanded in the linebacking spot.
Yeah, Buffalo is not punted today. You got a 3rd and 25.
Wow, look at that. Last time they did not punt at a game back in September of '92
it's been a while.
At San Francisco. When you were where?
I was in Oakland.
Yes. Just testing. Fitzpatrick couldn't find anybody and slides across the 25-yard line. So he goes for 10.
Not a lot of plays on Chan-Gailey's call sheet for 3rd and 25. You just do the best you can and just want to avoid a turnover in that situation. And hopefully Sean Powell can get off a big one.
Well, this is his first punt of the day. Rookie from Florida State, signed as a free agent, replacing Brian Moorman.
Ooh. Not his best effort.
Nope. Shanked it. And hearing it from the crowd, he's had some problems.
Wow, that official's still walking. Look at this. Holy smokes.
This is 4th game with Buffalo. Last week at Arizona had that poor 30-yard punt. This one goes down as a 21-yarder. So excellent field position for the Titans. Hey, tonight on CBS, take off to Bangladesh on the adventure of a lifetime. All new Amazing Race tonight only CBS. Tennessee first down at the Buffalo 46. Chris Johnson is the lone D-back. Hasselbeck broken up and a flag comes in. Aaron Williams on the coverage of Kenny Britt, and this will be interference on Williams.
Before the pass, holding defense number 23. 5-yard penalty automatic. First down.
Rich, that's a very tough matchup for the left corner. Aaron Williams, in particular, with all the problems that he has been having.
Yeah, and Kenny Britt's a big, strong, physical receiver that does a good job using his hands at the line of scrimmage.
Just under 5.5 remaining in this fourth quarter. First out of the 41-yard line. Hasselbeck on a slant finds Nate Washington. That's a 4-yard pass play. Marv Albert, Rich Gannon. We are at Ralph Wilson Stadium, Orchard Park, New York, just outside of Buffalo. Capacity crowd better than 73,000 on hand. Buffalo at 3-3 in that crazy bunched up AFC East. Tennessee Titans 2-4, both coming off wins on game-winning field goals. Chris Johnson is the running back. It's a 2nd and 6 for the Titans. Hasselbeck in trouble. Has to throw it away. Good job by the Bills. Sean Merriman, lights out, was looking to shut the lights on Hasselbeck.
There you go back and you look at both teams have given up a lot of points so far this season, the most in team history, and defensively it hasn't been a great performance from either team today.
3rd down and 6. Hasselbeck going underneath but shy of a 1st down. Nate Washington on the reception, but he comes up short. Justin Rogers makes the tackle. Picked up 2 on the play. So it's a 4th down and 4. And with the Titans down by 6, they are going for it.
Yeah, they're kind of in no man's land, Marv. It's a long field goal. You know, you don't really want to punt in this situation, and your defense has played a little bit better here late in the second half.
4th and 4. Just under 4 to go on the 4th. Hasselbeck's pass is dropped. Dropped by Cook. Covered by Brian Scott. The Bills will take over. Buffalo with a 34-28 lead on Tennessee. You are watching the NFL on CBS.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by E-Trade. Works beautifully. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go. And by the all-new Honda Accord. It starts with you.
A gorgeous shot of Niagara Falls just outside of the Buffalo area. Just under 4 minutes to go in this 4th quarter. 34-28. Bills lead the Titans. Buffalo taking over on downs as Fred Jackson gets the call and moves close to the 40. Picks up 4 on the play. Look at some of the prolific numbers that have been produced for the most part in the first half. Chris Johnson with a breakout performance. 17 rushes, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ryan Fitzpatrick, easily his best game of the season. 24 of 29, 218 yards, 3 touchdowns. They've combined for 715 total yards. And Rich, in the first half, we saw 3 touchdowns within 25 seconds, 2 within 12 seconds.
I had my head spinning. Not a lot of great defense in this game, but a lot of big plays on the offensive side of the ball.
Nice fake. Spiller off the swing pass, but not much there. Combination of Jackson and Spiller have played well. Tim Shaw made the stop. And a timeout is taken with 3:03 to go here in the 4th quarter. And now they change up. It appeared that we were about to break for commercial, but we'll stay right here. Marv Albert, Rich Gannon. Buffalo Bills trying to go over the 500 mark with that 3-way tie in the AFC East. All 3 teams are 3-3, with the Jets of New England playing later on Miami in its bye week. We welcome those of you around the country joining us for what has been a wild offensive show, and much of it has to do with the fact that these are 2 of the weakest defensive teams in the NFL. as we check out the game summary.
Yeah, it's really been a shootout. Chris Johnson's had the big day. As you said, Marv, 168 yards, including an 83-yard touchdown. Brad Smith had a big kickoff return that got them right back in this. And, of course, a sack fumble led to a Tennessee touchdown. But Ryan Fitzpatrick has made some big throws in the second half to Donald Jones. And, of course, this one to Stevie Johnson to put him ahead 34-28.
And a key play right there on a 4th down stop with Tennessee looking to go for it on a 4th and 4. Marv Albert with Rich Gannon. Matt Hasselbeck has played well. We mentioned Ryan Fitzpatrick has been superb. It'll be a 3rd down and 7 at the 39-yard line. Tennessee at 2 and 4 last week in the Thursday night game. They beat Pittsburgh in a dramatic win as Rob Barotas hit from 40 yards out for the game winner. You look at those 4 losses, though, they have all been blowouts. While Buffalo at 3 and 3 wins over Kansas City, Cleveland, and last week at overtime in Arizona, but they lost at the Jets. Lost here at home against New England, giving up 52 points, and at San Francisco 45-3, so you can get an idea of what these defenses are about. Both have struggled right at the bottom of the rankings. 3rd and 7 for Fitzpatrick. Throw sideline, and it is picked off. Ryan Fitzpatrick throwing his first pick of the day, and it's Jason McCourty with his 2nd interception of the season. He came up with a big one last week against Ben Roethlisberger right at the end of the first half.
Well, you've got 2 deep coverage, and you know that you've got help over the top, and this corner is going to sink. So you can't predetermine that you're going to try and fit this one in. This was a poor decision by Ryan Fitzpatrick. And you see McCourty, he sinks the whole way. He's got no flat defender. He's got a linebacker buzzing to the flat. He knows he can carry that receiver up the sidelines.
Fitzpatrick looking for Donald Jones. Instead, Tennessee takes over at midfield. Chris Johnson in the backfield, but Hasselbeck looks to throw, and down he goes. Kyle Williams with the sack.
And Kyle Williams continues to be a dominant force up front in both their run defense and their pass defense. I love this guy's motor.
2nd sack for Buffalo. Hasselbeck throwing. Washington has the ball knocked out of his hands. He was at the marker. The ball was knocked free. And apparently it went out of bounds. It was pounded out by Jarris Byrd, the free safety. But it rolled out of bounds, so Tennessee will maintain possession.
Well, really nice effort here by Nate Washington. But look at how he's carrying that ball. See how it's away from his body? Now he switches hands, and Jarris Byrd does a nice job knocking that one out.
Goes for 17, but about a yard short of a first down. So a big 3rd and 1 here for the Titans as we come up on 2 minutes to play in the 4th. Chris Johnson in the backfield takes the header, has the first down and more, putting moves on across the 30, down to the 20, and run out of bounds. Chris Johnson showing us the entire repertoire, going right at Aaron Williams.
Well, the inside run, and they just do a great job running that, closing the line all the way back down. Excellent block by Dave Stewart. And you just see Chris Johnson, once he gets up on the 2nd level, now everybody's just running to try and get an angle to try and force him to the boundary.
Rich, he went for 27, 18 carries, 195 yards for a revitalized Chris Johnson. He has scored 2 touchdowns, first down at the 16. Hasselbeck with the handoff. This time it's Harper, and he is hit immediately by Spencer Johnson, the interior lineman, for no gain on the play. Just under 2 minutes to play in the 4th quarter. We'll be right back. Coming up, time permitting, after the game, the NFL Today update presented by Farmers Insurance. Join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. 3 wideouts for the Titans. Chris Johnson, the running back. 34-28 Bills. 2nd and 10. Hasselbeck standing in and throws. It is incomplete. Intended for Nate Washington. Covered by the strong safety, George Wilson, who got a piece of it.
Wow, this one hits George Wilson right in the chest. Matt Hasselbeck very fortunate in this situation. He's trying to get Nate Washington, and he's covered. And watch where this ball hits George Wilson. Oh! You got to squeeze it. And he was busy watching the crossing route and also staring at the quarterback. That one surprised George Wilson.
Rich, this may well be the season for the Tennessee Titans. You go to 2-5, you're in big trouble in that division. Out of the gun, Hasselbeck looks. He completes. He has Nate Washington, but short of a first down. Picked up only 2. Brian Scott made the tackle.
Well, obviously 4-down territory for Matt Hasselbeck and Mike Munchak. And now you're just guessing. Are you going to get zone? Are you going to get man? Or are you going to get an all-out pressure?
It's a 4th down and about 9 at the 15-yard line.
And they'll probably want to talk about this one.
Both teams each have 2 timeouts remaining. And it appears that Mike Munchak has called for time, so they have 1 left and a big play coming up for the Titans.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the new Droid Razr M by Motorola. Say hello to the full-screen phone. And by Acura. Acura. Advance.
And if you're Matt Hasselbeck, you want to try and get a sense for what you're going to get from Buffalo. They're not a big blitz team. I want a play here that has answers for man, has answers for zone, and has answers for blitz.
4th and 9, Hasselbeck to the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown, Nate Washington in the back of the end zone. What a catch. They'll review it. A 15-yard pass play, and Tennessee has tied it up at 34.
Well, they got 2 deep zone. That's what they were expecting. We talked about Wannstedt not being a big pressure guy in this situation, although a lot of defensive coordinators that have to have it situational, bring pressure, but they get 2 deep. And now the safety's stuck. He's trying to cover the tight end inside, and he leaves Nate Washington alone on the outside. See George Wilson, he's looking to his right to cover the tight end, and he's not able to help the corner on Nate Washington.
It is a touchdown, 6th catch for Washington. And now the try for the extra point by one of the best in the business, Rob Baronis. And puts it through as the Titans have taken a 35-34 lead. A clutch play. Hasselbeck to Washington. 1:03 remaining. Matt Hasselbeck coming through with a terrific throw to Nate Washington. He's 22 of 33, 205 yards and a touchdown, and has played another solid game with Jake Locker waiting in the wings. Smith and McKelvin are back. Deep kick, and Leotis McKelvin will stay right there. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line.
Then you go back to the touchdown. The guy they're trying to go after is the safety, Wilson. And the way they do it is with 3 vertical routes. You've got the tight end, you've got Nate Washington, and then you've got the outside release. But you watch the safety. He's stuck, and he can't come off the tight end quick enough to come back and help the corner, Justin Rogers.
All right, how do the Bills play it here? Ryan Fitzpatrick with 80 yards, or actually closer in terms of a field goal as they start out from the 20. They go 3 wideouts. Fred Jackson is flanked to the left side. Here they come. Fitzpatrick able to find Jackson. Across the 25, Buffalo does have 2 timeouts remaining. It's a 6-yard pickup. Verner on the stop. Clock is running. Down to 45 seconds to play. This time he goes underneath. The catch by Chandler picked up 2 short of the first down, and they have to stop the clock. They use a timeout.
And I think it's a good call by Chandler to use a timeout in that situation. You've got other ways to stop the clock, but they can't afford to lose valuable time when they still have to drive 40, 50 yards to get in field goal range.
Ryan Lindell's career-long 56 yards against Miami in 2009, and this is not a guy who's been kicking very much this season. Today 2 for 2, hit from 31, hit from 42. He is 5 for 5 on the season, just 5 field goal attempts in this week number 7.
Tennessee playing a lot of 2 deep coverage now. Those corners are going to force the receivers back inside, make Buffalo use that timeout.
Fitzpatrick looking left, goes right, and was nearly picked off on a deflection. Pass intended for the tight end Scott Chandler, deflected by Babineau.
Trying to get the 6'7" tight end down the middle. Jordan Babineau, he really makes this play. You just watch him jump up just enough to get a piece of it. You see Scotty Chandler right there. Good alert play by Jordan Babineau.
Brings up a 4th down and 2 with 31 seconds. So they have to obviously pick up the first down right here. Fitzpatrick's pass is way off the mark, intended for Stevie Johnson, and now Ryan Fitzpatrick hears it from the crowd. This looked like the Ryan Fitzpatrick of last week. He had been so accurate throughout today's game, and this crowd beginning to file out with 26 seconds remaining, and Tennessee taking over on downs.
They bring the pressure. You're going to see Babineau right here. He's the one that gets home, and it forces Ryan Fitzpatrick to get this ball out quick. The tackle doesn't do a good enough job sifting it, coming back inside, and Fitzpatrick throws it before Stevie Johnson's ready. A timely blitz by the Tennessee Titans.
The major story today, the play of Chris Johnson, who had that big game at the end of the season a year ago against Buffalo, and this one is over. They can just run it out. Johnson, 18 carries, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hasselbeck, 22 of 33, 205 yards and a touchdown. 8 different receivers targeted by Hasselbeck. For the Titans, their first road win of the season. They go to 3-4, very much alive for a playoff spot the way things are going throughout the NFL this season. And for Tennessee, 2 straight wins. Buffalo drops to 3-4, not able to build on last week's victory over Arizona. However, the AFC East all bunched up. Patriots and Jets playing in New England in the late afternoon game. They're at 3-3, as are the Dolphins, who are in their bye week. It has been an entertaining game here in Buffalo. 35-34, Tennessee comes away with the win. Coming up next, it is Game 2 of the NFL on CBS doubleheader. So, for Rich Gannon, I'm Marv Albert saying so long from Buffalo, New York. You have been watching the NFL on CBS. Coming up, the NFL Today update presented by Farmers Insurance will take you to New York.